Just in case you missed it, it's the top 5 sports talkers of the day. Now, it's time for Dan Barrero's Top 5 at 5.
Kessler coming up bottom of the hour. Let's start.
Let's go right to Kirk Cousins.
Ooh.
They're great fans. They're great football fans, and I would think as a result they'll make it as hostile as they can for us. So it's a great fan base, and I believe the last time the Falcons played there, it was an empty stadium, probably, if I'm remembering right. So they didn't get to experience it then, but in 2019 they did, and it's a good fan base.
So we all know what he's done lately, which is not much. Had 4 interceptions the last game, including a pick 6. That's hard to do. 4 is hard, even for Jameis Winston. You know what this is setting up as, though?
The comeback? Yeah.
I mean, he's streaky. He's capable. He's capable of going, 26 for 34 for 362 yards and 3 touchdowns and no picks.
He's comfortable in the building, right?
He does know the building.
He knows
That's
the
exactly
building.
it. I've been watching enough Atlanta Falcons football to figure out what's going on there. Is it his fault? Is it play calling? Is it a combination of other things? But there could be danger lurking where because he's had other games that have been quite good. Even this season, I think he's had some good games. He's been
they were rolling for a little
very
while.
Erratic, up and down. And I don't know. That's got to be the concern internally, that everybody assumes that this is going to be easy and he's awful and they're ready to pull the plug on him and move on. We've said it before, man. The players always have the last word. Now, by the same token, you say, well, that's not just Cousins. You could say also the B-Flow and what the Vikings defense has in store for him. Have the Jackals done any better job getting B-Flow to reveal something interesting about Cousins? Because he certainly knows what Kirk Cousins is all about, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
I didn't monitor B-Flow today as much as I monitored KOC. Common played KOC, and KOC has the utmost respect for Kirk Cousins. In case you're wondering. In terms of the injury report, Stephon Gilmore did not participate with that hamstring injury. KOC saying they're going to be smart with it. They did sign Kelvin Joseph, another cornerback, to the practice squad.
Okay.
So we'll see what exactly that means. And really the biggest news injury-wise is that
return to the kicker?
The battery.
Yeah,
not just the kicker.
Yeah, you're right.
2/3 of the battery as a depot, Andrew DePaula, is also back. Their window is open.
Would you be tempted to stick with John David Booty as your kicker? I'm just saying.
Yeah, I know. You got me.
How good has he been? Now, you could say he missed one he should have hit last game. That's the only miss he's had. But I think he's missed one extra point.
I think that's right.
He's been good in his range. Didn't he kick one over 50?
I don't remember.
Last week he did.
But Reichert's got to earn it. He's got to earn it back, right? Even though he's been the kicker of the year.
Have we ever had a situation where we've got too many kickers?
Minnesota? No.
Not here. I don't. This is a wealth of good kickers is uncharted water for us, I think.
Yeah, completely. By the way, the Falcons on their social media tweeted out a picture. It just said Vikings week, and the picture was of the NFC Championship game in 1998.
Oh, that's cold.
That's really cold.
That's a throwback, too. That's 26 years ago.
It's a long time ago.
Wow.
But they know that it still cuts. And I can't be a fraud. What did I say all week about the flag planting? To the victors go the spoils. We have to eat it.
Yeah. Is it flag planting or is it plant flagging? I think it's flag plant. I think I said a couple times plant flagging.
Yeah, but you were playing fast.
It means the same. It means the same thing.
It does.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's the deal there. Wolves are back in action tonight against the Los Angeles Clippers. You can hear it on the Timberwolves channel of your iHeartRadio app. Think about this. The Timberwolves, Dan, are trying to make it 3 in a row. 3 in a row for Boudreaux. West Coast swing now. I'll remind you that the Clippers are playing on the second night of a back-to-back. Now, both of them are at home, so it's not a total schedule loss opportunity, but it certainly is a schedule loss opportunity.
No question.
Norman Powell won't play for them.
Well, think
Kevin
about it
Porter,
this way, too.
Terrence Mann, Kawhi Leonard won't play for them.
Where is this game?
L.A.
Okay, so you've been to L.A.
I have.
I mean, sometimes you get stuck in traffic and it takes 5 hours to get home.
It feels like you're traveling.
So it might as well be a schedule
You're
loss
right.
because of the amount of travel involved. Southern California, it's impossible to move from point A to point B.
It is funny that when the teams do go out west, somebody just brought this up. I can't remember who it was, another NBA player, that sometimes the teams, because so many guys live in LA during the summer, they'll let the team stay at their home.
Yeah.
Their actual house. They won't make them stay at the team hotel, and that determines that could be part of a schedule loss for the road team going to LA, that they stayed at home.
Yeah.
And then there were distractions and there was all this
There's
stuff.
layers and layers to this. It's exhausting.
There's so
That's
many,
why I just hate it.
There's so
I
many
can't
reasons to
stand it.
lose.
Yeah. There's
So
a
many
lot.
reasons to
Apparently
lose.
not more reasons to lose than to win. I got more Wolves stuff to get to before Kessler, but go ahead.
And then the Wild won last night in overtime with an electric goal from Kirill Kaprizov.
Did you get any kind of text from Fallness apologizing?
I've heard nothing from Kevin Fallness today.
It's crickets when we not only spend some time in the Wild, we lead the show with it and basically spend most of the first hour on it. Funny, then it's crickets. Then we don't hear anything about. The only time we hear from him is when we're not spending enough time on his favorite hockey team.
So that is, I should say, they played last night. Gopher basketball has their Big Ten opener tonight at the Barn. You will hear that game on the Fan tonight. Tom Izzo and the Michigan State Spartans in town. For
Izzo
the
is
26th time, I think.
Is that what it is?
So whatever race he wrote.
He wrote about, and I didn't realize, I think, like me, Izzo turned 70 in January. And, the feeling I've had from him is, it's not that he has to leave, but that he might be better served leaving at some point pretty soon. But I don't see any sign of that, right? I mean,
I don't.
And I'm not going to, last thing I'm ever going to do is tell somebody to stop doing what they love to do. The question is, does he love it as much? And really,
I think he must.
He must, or he doesn't know what the hell else to do, and he doesn't want to sit because he's not a guy who's going to sit down. So maybe that has something to do with it as well. I don't know.
7:30 tip at the Barn. The pregame here on the Fan starts at 7 o'clock.
Are you going?
I'm not going.
Your club, by the way, are you ranked yet? Are the Gopher women ranked, or has the schedule been too soft to do that?
I'd say probably too soft. They win on Sunday against Nebraska.
Okay.
The Gopher women you're talking about, I
Yes.
would anticipate that they might be able to sneak into the rankings.
And Paige Becker's made news yesterday. Is that correct?
Got her own shoe.
Her own shoe.
Yep.
So I guess I'm shocked Caitlin Clark didn't have her own shoe. Are you?
I guess so.
I don't know. I mean, this is allegedly the first time shoe likeness. There was something else. There were like three
There's some
things.
distinction.
Some
yeah.
holy grail that's never been accomplished before.
Well, I hope Paige thanks Caitlin Clark as someone who came before her, even though they're the same age in the WNBA.
That's a really good point.
Because when you enter the WNBA, you must bow to those that have come before you.
Yeah,
That's the rule.
Genuflect early and often.
And if you don't, when they give you credit, you must deflect it right back to those that have come before. And technically, Caitlin Clark.
Who got there first?
Caitlin Clark.
Who blazed the trail? Did you see the nugget somebody had?
Yes, that she was responsible for 26% of all their revenues.
Well, not only, but the number, the story I saw was somebody is claiming she's responsible for $600 million of revenue. That can't be for the city of Indianapolis.
Oh, I don't think it was that much.
It wasn't 600.
The number I saw was like 36 mil.
Oh, maybe
something.
I'm exaggerating it because I'm a Clark Oboe. Mm-hmm. That could be it. But whatever the number was, I'm going, well, how do you, even as a guy who loves Caitlin Clark, how do you figure that out? That used to be the game that Kessler used to do back in the day. The
economic impact.
Economic impact of having a concert in town or the Vikings in town. You know, that if you extrapolate all the numbers out, they're worth $4.6 billion. And the stadium apologists love to use that stuff. And Kessler quoted from it regularly, and he never did a reality check on it.
No, he would get the memo from Hank Helgen.
That's it.
In the Norseman suite, and he'd bring it right to the
100%.
appearances.
Yeah.
And how can anyone have that much economic impact on Indianapolis, given it's the greatest host city in the world and everything should be held there? How could one person impact a city that's already so great to that level? I'll never understand that.
Let's get a short break, or a break in here, a short segment, and then we'll prepare for Kessler, who is also in studio. He will have a chance to defend himself. Kessler coming up at the bottom of the hour. Are we going the distance today, all the way till 6:30?
We are. So pace yourself.
Man, this is rough duty.
A little different than Common's show today.
Man, oh man. What did he have, 4 hours?
Common had 3 hours. One of them was usurped by the Ben Johnson show because that started today.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess 20 minutes was the Kevin O'Connell press conference, and then Chip Scoggins came in for
came
the
in
two.
for the two.
I asked him,
he was
I
the
point blank
Rosen
said,
2 to 3.
Yeah, I said, "Are you going to be like Feinstein and sleep for 3 days after the show today?" My God.
Oh, that's funny. Did not hear about that. So I think Johnny Athletic, his most recent Wolves piece, centers on DiVincenzo, right? Seem to have what, the Wolves hope might be a breakout kind of a period that we're starting to see what we saw largely preseason. We saw snapshots of it early in the season, but then it looked like he was going the wrong direction, shooting problems and other issues as well. I don't know whether, Dante has rediscovered what he can do, but it is worth reminding folks. When we've talked, or at least when I've talked about this trade, I've felt and I continue to feel, and I know there's some people who disagree with this, but I feel pretty strongly about it. The Wolves traded away the best player in the deal, flat out. That doesn't mean Karl Anthony Towns is a perfect player. We know about some of the concerns that we had with him here, but I think he is definitely the best player in the deal. The only way, and so you look at that and you go, well, boy, that's a little concerning. Why would you make the deal then? Well, there might be some contractual issues that have something to do with it, salary cap. Was it the second apron or the third apron?
Second apron is the prohibitive one.
Is the prohibitive one.
And then the repeater tax.
The repeater tax. There's a bunch of
penalty.
stuff. Yeah, and even making trades, the whole bit. Adding pieces. But beyond that, it was, regardless of what you think about Julius Randle, and I think the perception of him maybe since he's gotten here has changed from excitement and elation to, well, yeah, I like some things, but I'm still worried about some other things. The key to this thing, I think, the whole thing, is the other piece, and that's DiVincenzo. To make this thing feel palatable, workable, and even give yourself the best chance to approximate what you did a year ago, I think not enough can be said and written and invested in Dante. I really believe that. I think Randall is a good player. There's no question about that. But we said all along that part of the basketball justification for it is you're getting back two potential starters, and one of them at least isn't going to start. But that means you are enriching your bench in a significant way over what you had before. Because in theory, DiVincenzo is better than any other wing player when you consider both sides of the ball than any other, wing player the Wolves had coming off the bench. Na has, some great moments, etc. Yep. But let's face it. Dante is considered at a higher level when you talk about offense and defense. With Na, it's streaky offensively, right? We know what he's going to do defensively most of the time. So I think that's the story to watch, quite frankly, the rest of the season. I really do. In order to make this work and feel good going forward, he has to be more than a complementary piece, right? He has to be as good as a starter, even though he's coming off the bench. That is why it's worth, I think, Johnny writing about him. I think it's worth us talking about it to the degree we did, that my whole feeling on the trade changed when he became available. Then I said, I get it. I understand, even leaving aside for the minute the salary cap part of this stuff, I get why you might say, well, it's going to give us a different look, but we might be better offensively than we were before, even if we're different offensively. Now, we haven't necessarily seen that yet. The defense has been obviously nowhere near as consistent, but they've shown signs.
Yep.
He showed signs of integrating into what they're trying to do defensively in a very encouraging way. But that, again, was a schedule victory because it was a schedule loss for the Lakers. Let's remember.
Right. That's right.
But to me, he's the story. If you accept the good and the bad of Randall, then I think it's all about how good can Dante DiVincenzo be.
That was allegedly the sweetener that got them to finally say yes, right? Because
Correct.
this Randall for Cat thing had been talked about for 2 seasons, hadn't it?
Correct.
We've been hearing that rumor forever, going back to even the
That's
summer
true.
before last. I agree with you on the DiVincenzo thing. Is he's got to be who he was the other night. Maybe not that good all the time, but close to it because he was outstanding the other night. Everybody off the bench was great the other night. Nas was great. Naw was great. Conley was back to form, which is nice to see. I'm very intrigued by. I still don't believe that they believe, though, that long-term Randall's a part of this thing.
Oh, I'm not convinced yet either.
And so the Dante part, because he's under contract longer and you don't have to worry about necessarily extending him or doing anything with him for the next couple of years, I'm very curious because I have to know that they knew that going in, that as much as we say we like Julius, and we do like Julius, if we're going to be a serious team like we were a year ago, there has to be more than what he brings us, especially defensively. I have to believe that they knew that because I still think there's still even the other night, there's still lapses and there's still body language stuff, even though he played pretty well.
There's no question.
And so I'm fascinated by what the next move is going to be there because I just have to feel like there is one, whether it's a trade. Well, certainly a trade.
Yes.
And who is that for? What piece or what other pieces that are going to get you the next piece? Because as much as we love Ant, I'm still thinking, even for the next couple of years, who's the Robin? Right. For all the jostling we did over whose team is it, you still had 2 pretty big knockers with Cat and Ant, and then some nice complementary pieces as well. That's why they were so good a year ago. That if Ant didn't have it one night, Carl could get you 35. Who's the guy that can do that consistently? I don't know if it's Randall. So for them to keep ascending like they want to, I do think there's going to have to be a big-time second piece somewhere along the line. And I don't think Randall's that.
Well, it's tricky.
And
because
how do you get that next one?
Yeah, because in theory you say, well, he's tradable as an asset and a salary asset as well, but you got to...
What's coming back?
You got to figure out who's available, who is gettable. And it's an unsettled feeling, too, because you're going, well, that's hard. How do you invest in this thing then? In hoping they can approximate what they did a year ago. So there's an open question there. But DiVincenzo, I hear his key quote off of the last victory, the Lakers game. He's talking about building the trust factor. I mean, Rudy's been amazing. He has been, knowing that when he's going back, we got his back. And then we're rotating out of it. And we're really good when we're flying around.
Yep.
You guard the first action. And now we're guarding the second, the third, the fourth action. That defines them from a year ago. And that's what they haven't largely been doing most of this season at all. They may guard the first action, and then it seems to break down in a way you say, that's not you. You're still not good enough offensively to just mail the defensive part of this thing in. You've got to figure out a way to continue to, on most nights, guard the second, the third, and the fourth action here with that same kind of tenacity, because you may not have another way back to the promised land.
Right. And my favorite part about that quote, first of all, there was an expletive that was taken out of the original one. I believe it was the F word.
Okay.
But it was about Rudy.
Yes.
I like that he gets it about Rudy, that Rudy's been incredible. Rudy's been amazing. Now, has he been as good as he was last year? Probably not, but the whole team has let him down behind him as well. Rudy's doing what they want him to do defensively in terms of the scheme, stuff that he doesn't necessarily always like. But I liked that, because we've been talking for 2 years about players and ex-players just crapping all over Rudy anytime they can, that Dante gets here, new guy, comes into the team.
And figures it out.
And just supports his guy like that publicly. Like, I think that is important, especially for Rudy, who's a proud dude. But Rudy's been awesome. Like, I love that. I love that coming out of his mouth.
Wiseacre Zach suggests that we could probably get D'Lo for cheap. We probably could. I'm guessing we could get D'Lo for almost nothing.
The full D'Lo experience was on display the other night, too. Just some outstanding shots.
Yes.
And then he's doing stuff with his eyes, I'm going to guard this guy, or go this way. I'm locked in. Your guy, D'Lo.
He's one of a kind. Speaking of one of a kind, it's Kessler Day. It's Wednesday. He is going to join us in studio after a brief pause.
Man.
I wish the American media would take a great look at the views of the people in Congress and find out, are they pro-America or anti-America?
Pat Kessler.
Because people have got to know whether or not their president's a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.
I can't trust Obama. He's an Arab.
Pat Kessler.
Tear down this wall.
I did nothing wrong at the Minneapolis airport.
Senator, you're no Jack Kennedy.
Pat Kessler. And now, to help Dan break down all the tough questions in politics,
It is time.
Tighty whities on and a cowboy hat.
Let's
Wonk.
I feel like a supermodel, except like times 10.
It's Channel 4's Pat Kessler.
Wear pants, not wear pants. You can do whatever.
On the Fan.
It's quite an opening, and it just gets longer and longer and longer. Kessler is back with us. Bradshaw and Brian KFAN text line is open, and it is 64686. We may eventually today get into some lighter topics, but let's start serious, and it's real serious, and we've not spent much time on it at all up until now. I was leaving it for your appearance here. News breaking out of New York, that Brian Thompson, the chief executive of United Healthcare, shot and killed in Manhattan. Police officials calling this apparently a targeted attack. Others have even called it an assassination. What do we know about this story at the front end, and what are the developments over the course of the day?
We know very little other than the facts of Brian Thompson going from his hotel across the street to the New York Hilton, right across the street from where he was staying for an investors conference, a stockholders meeting. This is at 6:45 in the morning. A man apparently laying in wait for him, and other passersby went by him multiple times, waited for him, shot him in the back. There is now video available.
I have seen it. I didn't even mean to see it, and it came up, and I saw it. It's rough.
I see it right up to the point where he falls, but right after there's a shot.
And then he advances towards him, and apparently, according to authorities, he shoots him several more times. Correct?
Yes, and this appears to be someone who knows what he's doing, as if he is a professional, whatever that is. Someone whose gun jammed several times, and he calmly reloaded, unjammed it, did what he needed to do, ejected 3 live bullets onto the sidewalk and then 3 shell casings. Here's the latest, according to the New York Times just a few minutes ago. There's a furious manhunt underway in Manhattan after this murder of Brian Thompson. The surveillance video shows this person waiting for him. And this is, again, what time? 6:45 in the morning.
Outside the Hilton Hotel, correct?
Outside the Hilton Hotel, where I have stayed. I stayed there just a couple of years ago, right there near the theater district. I know that there are multiple entrances to this hotel. It's very, very big. It covers almost a city block. And so this gunman apparently knew which entrance Brian Thompson was going to use. The police commissioner in a news conference earlier said that this was targeted because the surveillance video shows that he ignored passersby for 5 to 10 minutes. He fled the scene using an electric city bike. Police surveillance, the cameras that they use all over New York City, lose him apparently in Central Park. So he was carrying a backpack, which may have had a change of clothes, so he was able to change clothes and then leave. So there is a widespread manhunt for him. In the last hour, police released a surveillance photo from a Starbucks nearby in which he apparently bought a couple of energy bars and a bottle of water. They found both of those in an alley by the hotel. So there could be DNA on this, right. Whatever it is. That's all we know. We don't know the reason for this, the motive of it. Tonight is the lighting of the Christmas tree in Rockefeller Center. And if anybody has been to that, any of our listeners, I've been there a couple of years ago, went to it. There are literally hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people in the street, hundreds of thousands of people jamming in for this to see this beautiful tree in Rockefeller Center. So inexplicable right now, very, very sad. Minnesota guy, lived here for many years. His family lives in Maple Grove. United Healthcare, one of the largest, the top 5 Fortune 500 companies. One of the things that I've been wondering about all day is why there was no security detail for somebody this high up in this big a company. No one knows anything more, but that's where we are at this moment.
This was the company leaders were gathered, and this is the annual investors conference, right, for the parent company, United Health Group.
Mm-hmm.
And then the meeting gets halted, basically, I think, by the CEO. Just after 8 a.m, right? And he announces we're dealing with a very serious medical situation. As a result, we're going to have to bring to a close the event. There's a quote. I wonder what you made of this quote. This is a quote to NBC News from his wife, Paulette Thompson, saying that he had been receiving threats, to your point then about security.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, there had been some threats. Basically, I don't know, a lack of coverage. I don't know details. I just know that he said there were some people that had been threatening him. What do you think she means by when she says, I don't know, a lack of coverage? What does that refer to? Do you understand that quote?
Yes. It could be a number of different things. You could interpret it in many, many different ways. It could speak to motive, and that is that he headed up the one of the company's most profitable divisions, the Medicare Advantage. He did all of that. They were making billions and billions of dollars in profits, United Healthcare. It could be the police are looking at this and they're saying this publicly that, it could be somebody who was not covered.
Gotcha. Right.
It could be someone whose coverage was denied. It could be somebody whose family member died. I mean, you've got to look at that kind
of coverage.
Yeah,
yes.
You could look at all of these different things, and we just don't know at this moment.
It's also worth noting, I believe, both of his sons are Wayzata High School students, according to, I'm looking at StarTribune.com story, one current and one who graduated this past spring. His eldest son had lettered 3 years on the lacrosse team as well. I'd mentioned to you before the show that I've got to find Twitter where I need to go, that anybody... This falls under the classification now of anyone who tweets out any kind of, thoughts and prayers or, oh my God, what a horrific story.
Thinking of you.
Including, who was I just asking you about? Who ran against?
Dean Phillips.
Dean Phillips had a very basic, I would say, generic tweet in which he's trying to express, sympathy. And if you want to lose your faith in humanity, if you haven't already, just read the comments, the reactions from people after the Dean Phillips tweet. It's I guess I can't say that I'm surprised, and I don't even know what to make of it. I don't want to turn this into a sociology project, one could say. But let me just give you some examples, because the Phillips tweet was, I'm horrified by the assassination of my constituent, Brian Thompson, this morning in NYC, and have his family in my prayers. Yes, all your other thousands of constituents just died writhing in pain from denials, but this special boy was assassinated. What's the world coming to when you can't be responsible for tens of thousands of deaths and still walk safely down the street? Oh, bleep, yeah, as in celebrating the news about the fatal shooting. Sad that it happened, but a wake-up call to those that make decisions that impact others' lives. The rich people want to disarm the rest. Sad state of affairs when a hitman can slaughter someone in the streets of New York on a busy Wednesday morning and escape on a bicycle. Lib cities are dangerous. And then there was, where was it down here? Somebody suggesting that, I bet you the person who did this was an illegal alien. Moral of the story is, whatever your politics are, what I see by these responses is you bring all of that immediately and get out of the story before we know anything about it, exactly what you want out of it to fit your politics.
It's pretty amazing to see this. It got to a point where Dean Phillips had to call the people who were responding sick. I mean, I try not to look at responses to things like this.
I ordinarily don't either for that reason.
But this, it's proliferating today. This is a terrible tragedy for a Minnesota leader here in the state. Something that is shocking that happened in New York City. And we do see a significant number of people trying to justify it or even, dare I say this, Dan, celebrate it. I mean, it's crazy. And there's no place for this. It's horrible. It's sick. And it takes away from the actual story. And the actual story is this innocent man was gunned down on a street. The assailant is still at large. I know they're turning over every single rock in New York City to try to find him. And maybe with the CCTV cameras they've got there, maybe something more, we can find out more. Right now, we don't know a motive. We don't know anything about this.
And we, at this point, in terms of leads on the suspect, we've got nothing as well, correct? They may have, but...
Well, yeah, except for the photograph that they took off a camera at the Starbucks a couple of blocks away. And it appears to be a white male. He has a mask on and a hoodie. And now they're scouring Central Park for perhaps some of the clothing he may have discarded. There are live rounds of bullets on the ground outside the New York Hilton, Midtown, where he was. And there are shell casings. So there is evidence out there. So they just said that's all they have to work on.
In your experience, more generally, most of the times, do you think individuals who have this kind of job almost routinely do have security, or not so much? Not as much as we would assume.
Well, it was my understanding that they do have security, and I talked with a source that I have in the FBI who told me today that it's shocking that someone of this high up in this big a company, a top 5 Fortune 500 company, one of the largest employers in the United States, would not have routine security around him. That was shocking. We were speculating on this morning before the press conference, and then actually heard that there was no security around him. That to me is inexplicable because of the nature of the business, the insurance business, the love-hate in this business. There are a lot of emotions. If that's a motive, we don't know. We don't know anything about it. Yeah. But if that's a motive, there's a lot of hate for large institutions like insurance companies.
Yeah, and there's lots of stories, good journalistically based stories that have been done on a number of these outfits in terms of the approach they take, the decisions that they make. There's certainly criticism that is fair game and absolutely needs to be had here. But I guess.
Well, the news of its journalistic part, and again, I don't want to lose sight of the tragedy here and the crime that was committed because it's horrific. But the United Healthcare is under federal investigation for denying authorization for a lot of procedures and payments and that kind of thing. And there was a cyber attack just recently about that. But again, we don't know this could be a personal relationship, could be anything. We don't know.
We can't assume it yet.
Yes, that's true.
Let's go to Washington. Is my guy Hegseth? Is he? Your headline, you got him on the ropes. Is he on the ropes? Is it because now I'm hearing DeSantis might end up replacing him? Where does this stand?
This is up is down, down is up, black is white, inside out. This is crazy that we have come to this point where Hegseth, yes, is in a little bit of trouble. His nomination by President Trump to be the defense secretary, in part because of accusations of sexual abuse, public drunkenness, drinking on the job, the mismanagement of organizations. But he is fighting back. He says today that Donald Trump has urged him to fight on, don't give up, never surrender. At the same time, there are credible reports that Donald Trump has had conversations with his erstwhile rival enemy, his frenemy.
What was his nickname for DeSantis? I don't remember.
Oh, gosh, what was that?
Did he have one?
He did.
Because
he made fun of, remember when he wore the white boots?
Yeah, that's true. Yes.
Oh, God. So Ron DeSantis is said to be interested in the Department of Defense job, and he is eminently qualified. The guy has a military guy himself. He's had, he runs one of the biggest states in the country. This is, it could happen. But what in the hell?
So tell me about, there's also been some developments. There was some stuff that allegedly his mother had said where he was decrying, I should say, was decrying his behavior. And then now she's saying, well, that was then, he's changed guy now. And in fact, I thought I even read one report today indicating that Republican officials are trying to sort of like get her to talk directly to some of the folks on Capitol Hill to quote unquote set the record straight. What do we know about all that?
That's exactly what's happening. Apparently, there are reports late this afternoon that Pete Hegseth's mother, his Minnesota mom, is calling senators to make the case for Pete Hegseth. But as the New York Times reported very controversially a couple of days ago, that his mother, Penelope, accused her son of mistreating women for years. I just happen to have the letter with me.
There it is, huh?
Could I read a little bit on it?
Are you thinking of Ron DeSanctimonious?
That's
Ron
what it was.
DeSanctimonious.
That's what it was. Thank you.
And
Thank
Rubio's
you.
Lil Marco?
Yeah,
Little Marco.
Lil Marco.
He also called him Lockdown Ron about COVID.
Not
so he
good. That's
failed
not
Florida.
great. That's not great. Ron DeSanctimonious is a good
That's
one.
better one.
There were reports that on the trail he called him Meatball Ron.
Okay,
but
because that was, you know why?
I don't know why, but Trump denies that.
Okay,
but those were the
Meatball Ron.
reports.
Remember when he wore the white boots?
Yes, there was some kind of disaster down there, and he was on the scene of the
and
disaster.
He had some brand new, man, those were good looking boots.
Yeah,
that's all I'm going to say.
He got some crap for the
so
boots.
they called him Meatball Ron because he resembled the character in, I believe, the movie is the John Belushi, the fraternity movie, the
Animal House.
Animal House.
Oh, really?
He resembles Meatball.
Meatball.
Look it up, kids.
I don't even remember who Meatball was from.
Yeah,
Animal
look it
House.
up.
Anyway, yeah, okay.
Look it up. He was a bad guy.
Yeah, okay.
In the movie.
All right, fair enough.
So he has fathered a number of children out of wedlock in affairs. He's been accused of rape and abuse of women. Accused, and some of he's had
one settlement at least.
Yeah. So
maybe
that's what we know.
Yeah.
But here is the letter that his mother wrote on April 30th, 2018. 2018, son, not dear Pete, son, comma. Here's just an excerpt from it. You are an abuser of women. That is the ugly truth. And I have no respect for any man that belittles, lies, cheats, sleeps around, and uses women for his own power and ego. And that's the good stuff.
And now she's talking that back.
She says she's blaming the media for reporting that, and says that she retracted the letter and apologized to him. But of course there's no reporting that. Well, because we didn't know. Show us the apology. In any event, there is a series of these kinds of accusations against him that Trump takes seriously. I think a couple of weeks ago we talked about this. The one thing that Donald Trump might take more seriously than other things, when he's throwing all of these pretty interesting candidates out there that are causing a lot of controversy, but drinking to excess is something that Donald Trump does not tolerate. He has never taken a drink in his life. His brother died of alcoholism. He takes the issue of alcohol very, very seriously. So, public drinking, on-the-job drinking, sexually pursuing female subordinates, mismanaging nonprofits, those are things that Donald Trump could take seriously, particularly the alcohol part. Ron DeSantis is waiting. He's right there.
Who said all of these things? And you got to get it on the first try. One-term president. I'm in complete control of my faculties. No problems with my cognitive abilities. I will never, I repeat, never pardon Hunter.
Oh, I know.
You got it on the first try?
Yeah.
Kessler, go ahead.
I've got my hand up.
Pat?
I've got my hand up. Joe Biden. Joe Biden pardoned Hunter. There's a lot of disappointment in Democratville tonight because of all of this. This opens up an incredible Pandora's box, not the least of which is because he lie about this? There is credible reporting today which says that the people closest to Joe Biden, in fact, knew that he was always considering doing this, even as he was saying, I will never do this. So
Which
what
is
are we
even more damning.
Yeah. What are we supposed to believe? And if it's just this person who is going to be pursued by the Trump administration, Donald Trump personally, his new attorney general, because they said they're going to do it even after Biden leaves office. Why not pardon Dr. Fauci? Because they're going after him too. Or Liz Cheney. Or Mark Milley. All of these people who are out there.
There's a lot of folks on the
that
list.
are on the enemies list that and I'm not making this up. Donald Trump says that's what he wants to do, and that's what he wants his attorney general to do.
Well, because I saw some of the same reporting today as basically, well, it was a strategy that we said no, but we knew all along that we were not, and it's such a loose. And as you mentioned, look, the new guy doesn't need any help in terms of whatever tack he's going to take, right? But it does further open the door to make it even easier for him to say, well, all bets are off now. Look what you did. I mean, not that he was going to be careful before, but that's I think part of the reason the Democrats are
but the hypocrisy,
some Democrats of it. Yes,
the hypocrisy of this.
You can't build yourself up to that place that I'm better and do this.
Where the Democrats are making themselves be the high moral ground. We're the ones who have the high values and the morality. And then he does this.
Yeah, that's the problem.
That's pretty amazing.
Well, and also some of the experts saying that the unusual nature of the deal itself,
good point.
Open-ended nature,
Yes.
11-year period that goes, interestingly, I think back to Burisma, but that it's the most all-encompassing and general item, including crimes that he may have committed that nobody knows about yet. Goes back to Nixon. That was the last time a pardon was this ridiculously open-ended.
It's pretty amazing, and there are some legal experts who say that it is even more expansive than the one that Richard Nixon got because there were specific crimes also named in there. So this is something I think that took a lot of people by surprise. Must have been a hell of a Thanksgiving over at the Biden house.
Can't even imagine.
And breaking this just in the last 20 minutes or so, the Politico was reporting, the great reporter Jonathan Martin, reporting that top Biden aides are now conducting debate internally about whether to issue many more preemptive pardons. It's an extraordinary step to inoculate potential Trump targets from prosecution.
Let's pause. We've got more to get to with Kessler, including, we don't talk a lot about roadkill with Kessie. We usually talk about that with Carl Gerbschmidt, but apparently roadkill will be one of the topics when we return.
Find the street team outside U.S. Bank Stadium this Sunday before the Vikings take on Kirk Cousins and the Falcons. Ask them how you can enter to win great prizes from our great friends at Shields, including Vikings versus Packers tickets or $100 gift card to Shields. All the details at KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
Do we really have another Ruby Slippers update? And what would that update be? Did they finally get sold? Does it have the museum wanted to be in on it, but I don't think they were going to have the resources.
So cute. It was so cute. The Minnesota legislature appropriated $100,000.
How'd that go?
To help bid on the Ruby Slippers. Now, it didn't go very well.
No.
Because it's over $1 million now. I'm going to check while I'm on here.
Okay.
But here's the update. As reported this morning in the Star Tribune, although I have been following this auction for the last couple of weeks. Just in case.
You're thinking about it, huh?
I was.
You might jump in.
I was thinking about it till it got to $1.15 million.
Yeah, that seems...
it's a lot.
A bit tough. A bit challenging. Not for you, but...
Well, yeah, that's true. So let's see where it is right now.
Well, when's it close? I thought it was all done.
It closes on Saturday. Right now, there's an online auction. And they're auctioning off these Ruby Slippers. Online auction, and then it will be live. It'll go live on Saturday. This is at, Heritage Auction.
Okay.
Heritage Auction. I'm seeing on here right now, I'm looking at this. I see that also the hat, the witch's hat, worn by the Wicked Witch of the West is for sale. The flying hat.
How much? What's that bid on right now?
What do you think that would go for? I mean, it's not Judy Garland slippers.
Her hat. The witch's hat. The bad witch's hat.
Yes,
No, is it the Wicked Witch of the East or the West?
It would be the West.
The West. The East got killed. That's the house.
Haven't you seen Wicked?
Her house falls on the Wicked Witch
One
of the East.
One of the scariest moments of my childhood.
No question. I'm going to say the hat right now. If the slippers are 1.1 million, I'm going to say 350,000.
You know, you're a little high, but okay. I'm surprised that it is $220,000. But bidding's not over yet.
So is there a bunch of other Wizard of Oz stuff? Is there like Munchkin stuff?
There's not. Although I not only did I meet a Munchkin in St. Louis, I have an autographed photo from one of the Munchkins.
One of the originals?
One of the originals.
Okay.
Yeah, I got tighty whities on and a cowboy hat.
I don't know what that has to do with it, but
well,
in the picture, I thought.
No, that was me and Chad Abbott.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was
that's
very
what
different.
It was. Yeah, but that we're running down the street right there.
How about you know what I wouldn't mind having from the Wizard of Oz, the original? The crystal ball that the
wizard used.
Well, yeah, the wizard. Well, in the dream sequence first. No, well, yeah, actually there's actually more than one crystal ball in the movie. You're right. The witch uses it, but then the guy who's in the first portion of the film, the guy who's part of the traveling show. Who, Dorothy goes in to find out about the future.
Right.
There's a crystal ball there. I wouldn't mind that one.
And who is that character who then ends up in the dream?
Is the wizard.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name.
So there it is. So
somebody will tell us.
It's really a wonderful thing. Now, just to bring our listeners up to speed on this, these for years the ruby slippers were actually in the Judy Garland Museum in Grand Rapids, Minnesota.
Correct.
Till some dude, a former mobster, looking for one final score, broke into the museum and stole them. He thought that they were real rubies on these slippers. Of course, they're not.
That turned out to be a fail.
There was an epic fail right there. But then we didn't find it for another 10, 15 years. They just found these a couple of years ago again. So now they're being auctioned off. It's at $1.15 million. Probably will go higher.
Okay.
Minnesota contributed $100,000.
God, you are so patronizing.
So sweet.
That's so condescending.
Will we have enough? Is there someone who can step up?
Yeah. Well, I think.
If somebody can step up, but if they can do
Glenn Taylor.
why wouldn't you do?
Why wouldn't Glenn Taylor step up
and then put them on display in the Minnesota Star Tribune lobby
and the Target Center lobby when he wins the case?
Oh, think about that.
When he ends up winning,
got that.
Then you got that going for you.
But of course, if you're going to spend $1.15 million on the ruby slippers, why would you not just donate that to Dinkytown athletes?
No,
that's what I would do.
I think Gaardsy would approve of that immediately. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, we got the NIL thing we got to worry about, so let's do that.
So would PJ.
Yeah.
So what's the roadkill update? What's going on here? What is there worth discussing regarding Minnesota roadkill?
Well, I follow roadkill fairly closely, and I have for a number of years, because I once hit a deer not that long ago, and the deer went flying, and I'm sorry to say.
Okay, Bobby Kennedy Jr. I mean, what's the rest of the story?
I collected it, cut the head off, put it on top of my car. How about Bobby Kennedy? I mean, isn't that going to be just fantastic?
Did you see
I'm all in now on Bobby.
Did you see the video he released of him in a gym showing off his pecs?
He's looking so good. He's looking so good.
It's going to be so fun.
And so his wife, who is Cheryl Hines from Curb Your Enthusiasm, I mean, I wonder what Larry David has to say about
I can't even imagine.
There's so many layers to this. I can't wait, though. So I hit a deer, and as I called, as I thought I was supposed to, called the sheriff's department, and it was a big buck, and it was a big one, and pretty much totaled my car. But they asked me before I hung up, whoa, sir, don't hang up. What? Would you like to have it? Do you want to take it with you and skin it and eat it? You could harvest it and dress it and have the venison. And I said, no, thank you. So I've been following this for a little while. The Star Tribune, to my great delight, this week, did a deep dive on roadkill on their Curious Minnesota, where someone said, what happens? Who picks this stuff up? And apparently, there are a number of people in every county. There are 148 different depots that are transportation depots. If they have to be picked up quickly, if they are crossing, if they're obstructing traffic, they'll send somebody out almost immediately. Unlike Carl Gerbschmidt, unlike Wisconsin, where I see deer carcasses and animal carcasses
recklessness
for weeks.
Yeah.
And I'm in Wisconsin a lot.
You are?
I see them for weeks. This isn't where it is, but you can keep the roadkill yourself. And they report, the state of Minnesota reports that they issued you can get on the spot permits, 1,150 permits to take it with you, and many people did. But State Farm Insurance, this is what I wanted to say, estimate that there are 40,000 deer vehicle collisions every year.
40,000.
40,000. And so it's underreported, and we're in one of the peak seasons for hitting deer, so everybody be careful. But here is the point here. One of the things that I never knew, Star Tribune reporting, thank you, that there are special deer composting areas in Anoka. It's a special one where they take the big deer carcasses and just dump them. There must be a pile as high as a May, the month of May snow pile.
Wow.
Somewhere. So that's what I want to know.
I missed this story. I'm glad you
it's
you
pretty
read
incredible.
For us. Yeah, that's remarkable.
And there are recipes for roadkill.
There are?
There are.
Who would have thunk that?
That doesn't do much for my appetite, to be honest with you.
Truck struck pheasant.
Okay.
Is one recipe.
Truck struck pheasant.
That is correct.
Okay.
Skinning, there are many venison meatloaf recipes, and I've had venison lasagna.
We're happy for you. Really
Why? And I've also had squirrel stew.
You have. We've talked, no, but you've told us many times. I mean,
then don't question.
You were on the farm for a long time.
Do not question me.
Real quick. Mm-hmm. So we still are, I think, collecting votes in some states. You had an update on why this is taking so long. What can you tell us about this?
Can it just be over?
It would be nice to be
so.
soon.
We still don't have all of the votes in California. It's crazy. Florida, which is as big as California, had it in, I'm going to say, an hour. They had pretty much all the results. Well, in 2020, it's because of California that we don't have the final results yet. Donald Trump, it's a very close race. He's going to win, everybody. Donald Trump will win. He's the clear winner. Fair and free election. In 2020, California, during the pandemic, sent out mail-in ballots to all of its residents. Then they changed the law so that you can vote that way. 90% of California ballots are now mail-in ballots.
90%?
90%. Wow. And if they are postmarked by Election Day,
they count.
It counts for 7 days afterward. There's a 7-day grace period. And then the registrars have to open them up, take out the ballots, open those up, yada, yada, yada. They need to process and verify them, compare the signatures, and then there are 26 days after that where somebody can change their vote, verify their vote, challenge the vote. That is why.
That explains
That's absolutely why.
Larry Mondello guy will wrap up the show with this. I need to fact check Kessler. I think Trump called DeSantis Meatball Ron not because of any connection to Animal House, but because Ron is Italian and Trump loves a good ethnic slur. Plus, Ron just seems like a meatball. I think the Animal House connection he might be thinking about is Niedermeyer, the leader of the ROTC cadets who wore those knee-high boots. Maybe both are correct. Yeah.
We are both correct, but good point.
Yeah, that's Mandela.
Excellent point, Mandela.
Such a good listener.
God, he is.
Isn't he? And such good,
I like that
such good material. We'll see you next week, we hope.
And I'll bring in the ruby slippers.
Oh, that'd be what a hell of a story that would be. You just drop them on the table here. You just walk in and just forget, mic drop.
Would that be incredible?
Ruby slipper drop.
Oh, my God.
That would be tremendous.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Pat Kessler, 4, 5, 6, and 10 on, not Channel 4 anymore.
Your Minnesota Wild are red hot to start the season. Don't miss out on seeing them in action. And tickets are available now at wild.com/hockey tickets. Wild.com/hockey tickets to get your tickets. By the way, Bill Guerin joins tomorrow. Show wrap brought to you by American Pressure, commercial grade pressure washers since 1975.
It's the bumper to bumper show wrap.
I'm trying to figure out how to get Guerin going tomorrow. I mean, things are going so well, but I still got to find a way to irritate him. I think I know what it is.
I think I have an idea.
Oh, you have one too?
But go ahead. What's yours?
Well, I think my idea is going to be related to the defenseman we just acquired that we just traded for. You know, all the reporting about how he's a slow skater and he can't skate. I'm going to try to get him going on that and see how he responds to it. He's probably ready for it because he's already been asked, but I still want to try. What did you have up your sleeve?
I would just say keep going back to the "Are you ever going to sign Kaprizov" card because the price is only going up. Every night the price goes up another $100,000, doesn't it?
At least, if not more.
Didn't Louis called him a $14 million player a few weeks ago? Now that might be light. He might go $14 million. Are you insane?
Well, the good news again is I don't think that'll stop the owner. It's true. I honestly don't think there's any price that they wouldn't accept at this point. Knowing what he represents,
but you know what,
he ain't gonna mess around with that. I just don't believe at this point. No matter what else it does to their salary cap. What do we have coming up tonight on the Fan?
We have Vikings X's and O's with Kevin O'Connell coming up immediately following us.
Right.
Then Gopher coverage, Big Ten opener, Gophers Michigan State at the Barn basketball.
I have not seen Michigan State. I know they're not ranked. I don't think, right?
Correct.
But I have not seen them play at all. Are we healthy yet? Do we get our point guard back? He's still out.
I believe he's still out.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not good.
No. Because
we're thin, man. We don't have a lot of options.
Well, he's their best shooter probably consistently. They need him back.
Yeah.
Mike Mitchell, you're talking about.
Mike Mitchell, exactly right. So that's on the flagship.
It is.
FM 103.3 The Fan. Wolves then will be on the Timberwolves channel.
Of the iHeartRadio app, yes.
Exactly.
9:30 tip there.
Against the
Clippers.
Calcutta Clippers. No, the Los Angeles Clippers. In that the
Intuit Dome.
State-of-the-art new spanking arena that everybody's raving about. I wonder if ours is going to be that good whenever we get it
Let's
made.
hope so.
Yeah.
Let's see who builds it. Do you know what, Steve Ballmer had all those things put in?
Yeah.
Like you basically order food and it gets delivered to a locker and you go pick it up. And the players have walk-in closets.
It's stunning.
It's crazy.
It is nuts. Yeah.
I really want to go see it.
Yeah.
But do you know another thing that he also made sure was put in there?
No.
Or one thing that was removed from there that is rare in NBA circles?
What's that?
Schedule losses. Steve Ballmer doesn't believe in them.
He doesn't believe in schedule losses?
He doesn't believe in them.
Are we going to do? I'm out Friday, so are we doing predictions tomorrow? Or no, we don't. We can still keep them Friday.
We can mix it in tomorrow.
I'm fine either way because it might affect other people's schedules as well.
Well, it's just Carl's.
But we can, basically we can figure all of that
ask Carl.
out. I don't have any strong opinion about it. And also because remember Thursday Night Football, Packers Lions.
I'm glad you reminded me. We probably should mix them in tomorrow.
It almost makes sense to do it tomorrow
because we've got Salisbury tomorrow. We've got Inbox maybe.
Okay.
And then Bill Guerin, as you mentioned, is going to join tomorrow at 5 o'clock.
Show, but that's okay.
So we could probably fit picks in.
Are we going the distance again tomorrow?
No, it's 6 because it's Thursday.
It's Thursday, absolutely. And then you're in charge on Friday. All right. What else? Let me remind you we had every hour with Glenn Mason's good. Today's hour was exemplary, I would say. I don't want to say that to his face because his ego's big enough. But it was extremely good on a number of subjects, including flag planting and some really candid stuff about the Woody Hayes moment, both to the good during a protest in Columbus and to the bad when he slugged a player on the opposing team in the sidelines. And also what Mace remembered about it, kind of admitting that, look, we knew he had lost it by that point, and a lot of us were kind of covering for him during that period. So I highly recommend you podcast between 4 and 5 o'clock. Kessler, outstanding as always. And the first hour, a lot of Wild talk. And of course, Fallness is only bitter that we didn't turn the top 5 at 5 into all about the Wild. He mentions nothing about the first hour of the show. Isn't that funny?
It's not surprising, though.
It's not surprising. 2 very good done as items in hour 1 as well. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and we will talk to you tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
It's frustrating. But you know what?